This company's never been more profitable.
You mean hugely profitable?
I like it.
DavePorter.com presents The Profitable Cleaner, a podcast on commercial cleaning sales and entrepreneurship. The one podcast that's not afraid to discuss real sales strategies with real cleaning professionals that produce real profits and real results.
All right, welcome back to the Profitable Cleaner podcast. I am super excited for today's guest. Juan, thank you so much for joining us today, man. For simple introductions, Juan, why don't you tell everyone who you are and a little bit about what you do before we dive in here.
Sure. Thanks, James and Angel. It's a pleasure meeting you guys a few weeks ago in Chicago, and thanks for inviting me. So my name is Juan Chaparro. I'm the CEO of PipeHire and GMaids. I started a cleaning business back in 2004. It was focused on green cleaning only in Dallas-Fort Worth area. And about 2017, 2018, I started developing PipeHire, which is a solution for cleaning companies and service companies in general to hire employees and manage all that process. So, but all that is started in-house, trying to solve my own problem really, because I wasn't finding a good solution for that. And I'm from Colombia. I don't know if that makes a difference.
No, man. Hola, ¿cómo estás, amigo? My Spanish ends out there, as Angel well knows. So, no, man, I think it's awesome. I'm actually really curious. We're going to talk a lot about PipeHire and the hiring process that we know that many cleaning companies struggle with here currently in today's market. But before all of that, I do want to learn a little bit more about GMaids. And
Sure.
I want to learn about how GMaids came to be, why the cleaning industry was for you, and then ultimately how that's kind of kickstarted you into PipeHire.
Okay.
So
Sure.
I guess my first question here, Juan, would be, like what made you choose the cleaning industry? And then once you chose the industry, how did GMaids come about?
Sure. Well, I came to the U.S. when I was 18 years old to go to Houston and study auto mechanics. And I finished that career, and I came with a student visa, and I couldn't work legally back then. So I went to these auto shops outside them and tried to offer them to repair their cars, change brakes, and I did that just being outside the doors of these, AutoZones and O'Reilly's. And in that process, I eventually met a couple that were cleaning houses, and they were doing Amway at the same time. So Amway was very well known for their cleaning products, and they were doing that in cleaning houses. And I wasn't making much money cleaning houses, doing mechanics. So they taught me how to clean houses for a living. So with my wife, we just basically replicated what they were doing, making about $100 a day, just cleaning homes. And we were selling Amway, so we started using our own products to clean our customers' houses. And we really like the non-toxic and natural products, and that's how we came about starting like a green cleaning company. And we call it initially BioClean Made Service, which we later found out that was related to like biohazard cleaning. So people will call us and ask us if we will clean crime scenes. We were like, no, we're just a regular house cleaning company. And suddenly, eventually about 2009, we renamed the company GMaids, really focusing on green cleaning, non-toxic products, and really targeting that group of consumers, which was taking off. All the green stuff was really taking off in 2008, 2009. And we became the leading green cleaning company in Dallas for the last 18 years or so.
I think that's awesome, man, especially because you were kind of on the cusp of green cleaning in a market like Dallas in 2004, right?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that term probably till, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago at best. So for you to be doing that in 2004, seems like that was pretty innovative. Talk to me then. So heavy on residential. I know that I'm looking at GMaids. You got some commercial. Through all of this, I'm assuming this is where the hiring process comes into
Correct.
play, and you bumping your head against it. Talk to us about those hiring struggles, because we know everyone listening right now who is hiring knows part of those struggles. And through the years, how have you improved your hiring process? And then ultimately, I know that's going to kick us to PipeHire, but talk to us about just hiring in the cleaning industry.
Sure. So typically, when at some point you start growing your company, and you obviously need to find people, and finding people, especially for home cleaning, which requires people to be inside of their houses, it's a lot more challenging than some other trades. So we found out that when we started, posting ads in different systems, we will get a bunch of names, resumes, but we never had the time to go through all those resumes properly and make a good decision. And the information that comes in the resumes is so vague. It's just name, what they did in the past, and an email and a phone. And that really is not enough information. So typically you want to know a lot more about an applicant. And when you just have a resume, there's simply not enough information. So you have to start calling them or making them fill another form to complete the profile and try to make a decision. Because the main thing that most cleaning companies and janitorial companies, the biggest mistake is just hiring somebody that walks in the door. You cannot do that because you need to identify your ideal employee profile. And those are typically a certain group of people that will succeed in a cleaning job. And that's where most people fail at the beginning, is just, oh, you want to work? Sure, come work. But the reality is that these jobs are designed for a specific group of people. And when you don't have that in mind, you have a big problem, which is bringing in people, and then they are going and leaving in 2-3 weeks. So that's kind of how we the pain came to us in GMaids.
How did you end up identifying who those groups of people are?
Basically, I took a list of all the people that left in this past years, and also people that have stayed, and identify a clear demographic of people, what age group they had, what ethnicity, what experience level, have they worked in previous service companies before or not, the goals and dreams of these people, just family composition. All these things led me to define this ideal employee profile. So we don't hire anybody, that's really outside of this ideal group. We will give a chance, but we know they will most likely fail. But we're always looking for a specific group of people that help us really, stay in business.
Now, this was through GMaids, right? So what you're speaking, so what you did, and so again, the process is, if I'm a commercial cleaner, residential, I have 100 employees, I've probably left a few, a lot have quit, a lot have stayed. You grab the ones that have left and the ones that you have, and then you basically start breaking down your demographics, a bit of their psychographics as well, which are like
correct
personality types, things like that. And then you're saying, cool, like I picture like those 3 little circles. What is that diagram called? Where it's like, these will for sure not like be fired. These won't work out. The far left, 100% like rock stars, and then somewhere in the middle, right? So okay, that's cool.
Person,
so if you're a big company, that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah, and you can start with just grabbing a spreadsheet and putting the names of all the people that you've hired in the past, and the people that that stay with you at least a year plus. And then you start to make decisions and analyze really who is the ideal employee profile for your company. And we all think it could be the same for all cleaning companies. There's some common denominators, but there's really, for each company in different parts of the country, there's a difference. People that live in or work in New York City and Manhattan, that ideal employee profile is different than one in Dallas. Because, for example, they don't have a car. They don't need a car. So that changes the dynamics completely of who you're looking for.
I've actually never even heard the term ideal employee profile, which it makes sense now that you say that out loud. I mean, we always talk about your ideal prospect profile, customer profile, all of that. And I've never really viewed it in terms of actually who you're hiring, which probably should almost have more attention because you're working with them, right?
Correct.
Okay, so hiring's one thing. I'm curious to, okay, now you're hiring people. Let's say you have your IEP, your ideal employee profile. You talk big on PipeHire. Okay, you've hired them. Now what? Now it's time to manage them. And you've talked about some metrics that you track every day for or just like healthy employee engagement? Can you kind of talk to us about that a little bit?
Sure. Most people think that hiring is just finding them and then, putting them to work. But in reality, it's about hiring and then manage them, which then leads to retention. And the way we help kind of retain those employees is by doing a good job as a managers. And typically a good manager will remember birthdays, anniversaries, will, cheer up about a compliment, and we'll have a good communication. We'll have a reminder to check every 3 months with this person about their performance. And I noticed that I didn't have those processes in my company. And I wanted to remember birthdays, and I was putting in my calendar. But when somebody quit, I forgot to remove that and put a new person in my own calendar. And that created a problem that I wanted to solve. And then that's how in PipeHire, we eventually built in reminders for tracking birthdays, anniversaries, complaints, compliments, and also quarterly reviews, and also even driver's license expiration reminders. Because all of those things really help the manager take care of the employee well. And in my case, our ideal employee profiles are usually always on the run. They don't have time to check on their car. They don't have time to revise their insurance, their driver's license. So I said, if they don't remember and they get in an accident, which happened to us, an employee got into an accident. She stopped working for several months and eventually quit because she was at fault. And the main issue, she lost her car, was because her insurance didn't pay for it because she had an expired driver's license. So I said, how I prevent that problem from happening again, and that's how these reminders and all this tracking of things came about in PipeHire. And it's really a game changer because you're always ahead of the game. The system is always reminding you about these things before they hits you in your face.
What I guess my big thing is somebody listening to this. I'll play devil's advocate, okay? Because I think a lot of people listening are probably already thinking, well, see, Juan, here's the thing, man. I don't need systems to be a great leader. Like, everybody loves our company. What would you say to somebody that just says that, which I'm sure you get that a lot, right? They're like, hey, man, every employee here is happy. Everyone's doing their job. I see them when I walk in and say hi to them every day when I walk into the office, and when I see them out on the field and I get a chance, I say hi. And, whatever. Give them a $5 gift card for their birthday. I write it down on my notebook. What would you say to someone that says they have it all down?
Yeah, those employers or those companies eventually, when they're small and they're 3 employees, they can handle most of the things on their own. But when you pass 5 employees, then 10, 15, 20, at some point your mind in whatever systems you have, a whiteboard or a spreadsheet, you cannot remember to track all of these things. And it's very time consuming, especially, if you have 20 employees and you're doing 30, 40 jobs a day. Imagine all the amount of feedback, complaints, compliments, plus when you have employees coming in, coming out, when you need to track attendance, time off, PTO, sick, all of those type of tracking is really very complex to manage it for 20 or plus more employees. So eventually, those companies that you mentioned will have to do something, because otherwise their business will not grow because of bad management.
That's really, I think, the best way to look at it. Like, I didn't realize how hard it was at my prior businesses. We were always small teams, like 3 people. Yeah. Everything was managed internally. We were able to keep a sense of culture and camaraderie. And then at that tipping point, I think it was about 5, 6 people. We've had as many as, I don't know, Angel, like what, 8, 9 people at one time. The dynamics get different. You lose track of things. Yeah. And I remember one moment in the business, I almost felt like my title was CEO, but I almost felt like a counselor too, because like all my time went into talking about employee problems. To have this all in one place would be good. Talk to me then. Okay, so you have these systems in place. You have, I think, this process, which is awesome. How did PipeHire it sounds like this is how PipeHire came about. When did PipeHire come about? And I guess talk to us about, what is PipeHire?
Okay, sure. I didn't mention, I forgot to add something to our last question, is that when you grow and you pass 5-10 employees, about 80% of the time of the owner, operator, CEO becomes managing people, managing processes, hiring people, firing people. So if you see the time that you have in a day and you just basically 80% of your productive time is going to go towards employee management, it's a lot of time, and it's going to stop the growth of your company. And then obviously you're going to have to bring eventually a person, but that new person will not be able to keep up with like the owner did in the past, because the owner obviously has the entrepreneurial mind and has all these things in his head or her head. But when you put it to somebody new, this new job, this new role, that person is going to crash. It's going to hit the wall and say like, oh, this is too much, I'm going to quit. So it's in favor of the growth of the company to have systems for managing employees and growing that team. Now, the next question, basically, in 2018, we finished developing, we have our own backend that we designed and our dispatching system for GMaids. So one of the products or components of all that system was the applicant tracking system. And that product was kind of completed in 2018. And then I started to show it to a couple of friends in the cleaning industry, and they say that they would like to have it. They would like to use it. I said, well, it's just for GMaids. They say, well, why don't you make it for other companies? So I told my team to really make it a single product outside of GMaids. And then that's how PipeHire was created. And it's really, in my opinion, the most important piece of tool you need in a cleaning business, or in general, all home service businesses, is your people software. We have software for accounting, for marketing, for sales, for dispatching, for all these things. But we haven't had a good piece of software to manage the most important asset of a service company, which is people. So that's why, I said there's a void in the marketplace. There's nothing being created for that. And some people try to do like a ClickUp or some type of other tools, spreadsheets. But it's really complex to manage a whole hiring process, background checks, and all these things that happen in the HR process, to manage it through like a ClickUp. It's not designed for that. So, 2020, March 2020, we released the product live to people. And now, it's been about 2.5 years since we started.
So PipeHire handles the whole HR process, like from the moment I'm new and getting an application, to getting my background check, to getting my, what is it? Like you need a pay stub, or is it like a check? Everything.
Nothing payroll related.
Okay, so not payroll related.
No, but think about this. I call this the employee life cycle. So when somebody applies, or before you even applied, when you want to post a job in other job boards, you start using PipeHire, and then in the circle of the cycle, just then hiring, and then interviewing, tracking stuff, managing time off until they leave. So I call that the employee life cycle, and that's all what PipeHire is doing in the background for you.
Am I able to track, like this is just me, but would I be able to see how long it takes me to create a job, fill the job, get the person out? Like, do I have that access? Like employee life cycle, or not really, or it's more just managing all of it?
We don't have like a timer of how long it took you to fill that position. That's a great feedback idea. We do have metrics of like how many people visited your job offer, how many filled the form, and what's the conversion rate, and then how many you hired out of all of those thousands of views you got. So, most people throw money at different job boards and ads and different systems, but they never knew how many people really landed on their job offer. Exactly. So we created those metrics so people can now see, and we give them also the source of the tracking. So if they came through Facebook, it's going to show that it came from Facebook and then they became an applicant and then became a worker. So all this is very important so people can manage their budget for that specific purpose, not just ignoring this information.
Now, if I'm a cleaning company hearing this, because that's who's going to be listening to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to. So I used to work a while back for ZipRecruiter.
Okay.
So like I like what PipeHire is doing because I also think there is a void in the market. I do agree with you. I
Mm-hmm.
also think there is such thing as companies too big for PipeHire, correct? Like if I'm listening to this, what is like that sweet spot based on who you guys have currently worked with? They're like, hey guys, if you have 2 employees and you're growing plus all the way to 700, your PipeHire, like I got you. Or what is that sweet spot you guys have around?
Most companies that work with us are between 5 to 50 employees. That's kind of the range.
Okay.
And that's the plans are based on that. But there's one company that's over 450 employees that's using our system. So obviously at that stage, there are some things that are needed for that level of company, but that is really a unicorn. You don't find companies in that size. It's very rare. But in reality, most successful janitorial companies that I see that are big, I would say, are 50 to 80 people max. Those are big successful numbers for the industry.
Then you get into like the top 1%, the top 5%. So,
Yeah.
okay. I wanted to ask that because I think when a lot of people hear HR or they hear hiring or they hear softwares, all those things, employee engagement and retention, right? They automatically disqualify themselves from it. Oh, that's for the big companies. And so that's why I wanted to ask that question, because if you are a 7-person team, you want to make sure that they bring people like themselves. So I just wanted to ask that question. Thank you. That's super helpful.
Yeah, and remember that sometimes when you're too small, you never think about that a good employee that you hire and you retain for 1 year can bring you in sales between $60,000 to $80,000 a year. A good one full-time employee in-house in residential can bring you $60,000 to $80,000 in revenue a year. So think about that. It's a huge return. If we're really measuring how we're hiring, how much we're spending, we can tell, okay, how many people I'm going to bring. And, as soon as you bring new talent and they're good, your revenue goes up.
You're not wrong. I love seeing revenue per employee metrics. Yeah. I love that one. That's one of my favorite metrics that I think not a lot of people use, right?
Totally.
No.
Not a lot of people view.
Totally. No, I mean, that's something I think that I've overlooked for sure in the past, just speaking candidly.
We always think about customer acquisition cost, or how much a customer, lifetime value for a customer, which is, 3,000-4,000 in residential a year. It's nothing compared to obviously commercial. And we put more value into a customer than our employees. And in reality is that the demand is always going to be there. There's always going to be dirty places to clean. But when we really look as our hiring and our strategy for retention as the main thing to grow our companies, those are the companies that really take off because they really nail it on the on the company HR process, retention, managing. Customers are always out there. You just put, ads or different strategies to bring them on. And that's, the easy part is to really make the sale. The hard part about all these service businesses is to really build that team that will sustain those customers that you're bringing on. That is the
100%.
biggest challenge.
There's a ton of talk out there in the cleaning space about, how to get new business, right? We talk about it all the time here. But the fulfillment side, if you're in all these cleaning Facebook groups and you're just in the cleaning circles, fulfillment and just quality help has always been the issue. I want to talk to something that stood out to me about you guys, Juan, is when we first met you in Chicago and you were showing us the platform. I'm going to call it employee engagement. I don't know what you'd call it, but it was as simple as your employee shows up to work today. You literally gave them an emoji of how are you feeling, or it was a good day, bad day, indifferent. Why did you put that in place, and why is that so important? I thought this was so awesome.
We're actually working on that. It's our future mobile app for employees. And basically, one of the biggest challenges that we see in this type of workforce is that sometimes they're not motivated to show up for work. They have issues, they have situations at home that just prevents them from or dismotivates them to show up for job. So in this is all about creating emotion for them and desire to go into the work, because these jobs are hard. Cleaning houses or doing janitorial every day is hard. It's very hard. I did it for 5 years and it's hard, and it's hard on your body. And I was 20 years old when I did it. I'm now 40, and I can imagine doing this every single day for 7-8 hours a day. So this app really is about retention, and the retention component is that they can basically respond yes, how they're feeling or not based on today's works or jobs, and that gives the owner, the manager, a metric of somebody's mood and how they're feeling. So if we can see a trending down on this graph of somebody's responses, we can say we need to bring this person to the office, we need to talk to them, see what's going on, because every day of their lives there's some type of issue going on, and the management should be ahead of the game, avoiding these employees to crash in whatever personal life situation. So I feel like sometimes we have to be like shepherds and they are sheep, and we're taking care of them. We need to help them navigate from all these situations to success. So this tool really helps the managers and the owners see their mood, how they're responding every day, and also showing them, bonuses that are coming, showing them birthdays that are coming, attached to a certain amount of money. I call them like digital carrots that allows them to see past today. And when you show this to these employees, they have this reward in front of them. Like, okay, in 60 days, I'm going to get my birthday bonus. Why we have that? Because we have all this data. We have their birthday, we have their anniversary, so we can show them how much they're gonna get in the next events. So all of those little things help employees stay engaged, helps them really say, I love working here, I feel valued here, because they just see their day to day, but they don't see 30 days, 60 days ahead. So our app is really reminding them about and motivating them about staying in this company.
I love that. I think that we don't leverage anchoring enough, within companies, right? Like like you said, it's that carrot in front of them. Like, can you turn, like, the question that comes to my head now as a leader, which I think we do an okay job at. We can get better always, right? But like, can you turn going to work into a rewards program? Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's almost what it sounds like. Like, every time I clock in, or every time I do a good job and I get a compliment, I'm basically building towards X, Y,
Correct.
and Z. Like, how exciting is this? I don't know if I'm pretty sure you've heard of Layla and Alex or Mosey. We're mentioning a lot because we create some like we love seeing their content. She says, like, if you can find a way to fit your clients, your employees' vision within your vision, they won't leave you and become an entrepreneur or start on themselves, right? What they'll do is they'll just fit their vision within your vision, and then all you got to do is, like you said, shepherd them towards that next step. So I really like that. I really love the carrot thing. I don't think a lot of people set their job as rewards. Personally, that's something huge in ours. It's about rewards, right? And incentivizing people to show up. What are some of, like, the top retention tools, or not even tools as in like softwares, but like if I'm a leader and I'm like, okay, interesting, I'm on minute 34 or something like that, or 30, I'm excited, I like PipeHire, I think I'm ready to use PipeHire. But we also know that even if you implement a tool, you as a leader need to show up as a leader versus a micromanager or versus just a manager. What are some top tools that you've seen, like the client you have for 400 employees, leverage with PipeHire to show up as a better leader? What are some tools you've seen, or what some initiatives?
You mean software tools or any tool?
No, just like We do yearly Christmas parties. We
Oh,
do,
okay.
right, like things that someone might
Things, other
not be
things.
thinking about right
Okay,
now that they can couple with pipe hire, because you're
sure.
gonna get pipe hire after this podcast, and so that way they can couple that with pipe hire.
Yeah, definitely. There is. We do quarterly events. Where we share food, barbecues, all kinds of just gatherings, but not job related or work related. We don't talk about nothing about work. It's just hanging out. We also give away through our attendance tracker. We can know who has the best attendance every 6 months, and we give $500 to the first person with the best attendance, meaning the less days missed, or they show up every day to the job, and then 250, and then $100. So every day they go to work, they're thinking on those $500 reward or 250, and that increases attendance. And in the past, we've also done it. They can get the money, or they can get a trip worth up to $1,000. And some people pick the cash, some people pick the trip, and that is huge because I live here in Florida, and I had employees come here and meet with me, and we just go to South Beach and stuff and just hang out, and they can't believe it that cleaning service will bring him to Florida and travel and have all this amazing lifestyle for 2-3 days. And they earn it because they're amazing workers. They're showing up to the job every day. And that's really a good strategy that has helped me and my company do that. Learning from others, I've seen companies paying for English instructors to teach their workforce Spanish, and basically do it via Zoom. And that has helped those companies retain employees and create added value for the job, because these jobs really are stepping stones for other bigger careers, other jobs. If you get 3 to 5 years of a person in a cleaning business, that's, in my opinion, that's the top. 3 years will be a great number. 5 it's a lot to ask for somebody to stay in a cleaning business. But I always see that our jobs are really stepping stones for their next career. And because they're going to school, or they're a single mother just getting back on their feet. So there are all these little strategies that helps building this career for them to eventually go and look another job.
That's awesome.
I love that trip idea. Like either you get money or you get a trip.
They love it. And because we were having attendance issues, and it's like, how do we solve attendance issues? Obviously, so we thought, people just want money. They just want to have a better life. Why don't we give them things that they normally don't do? And I've noticed that a lot of my employees have never been in a plane. Unfortunately, going to other cities and traveling to other places. And that shocked me. It's like, I thought flying in the U.S., within the U.S. is pretty affordable. I mean, you can go to from Dallas to LA for $100. But for some reason, they don't do it. And they make good money, but they don't do it. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's cultural. But I said, the company's going to help you now go to these places and pay your hotel and your food for, 3 days. And that's been a great motivator for them.
Let me add, I love that. It's so true though. Not a lot of people travel. Like that is a thing. You would assume that you do, but no, a lot of people can't. They get, you have to do it every day. So a lot of the times full time. So it's like, and you have family, you have other responsibilities.
Yeah.
Now I know for employee retention, that's a good thing, right? Random question. I don't know why my brain went here, and then we can move on from this question. Is flying your employees or giving them the 1,000 to 500, is that technically a tax write-off for the CEO listening to this? Like, is there tax rates for giving incentives?
Yeah, it's I think we give it on their payroll as a it is a taxable event for them. You can do it that way, or you can do it as a reimbursement, whatever you want to do. But I think the way it's done correctly is it's part of an income, so they get taxed on that on their W-2s. Yeah, but don't take my word for as advice. But I think that's how it is done. And they don't care how they get it. As long as they get it, they don't care if it's taxable, non-taxable. But we make sure that, through Gusto or the payroll system we use, basically we send it through there and they manage all that process for us.
Nice. Yeah, I would assume that giving them the 500 directly taxable income, but I feel like a company trip, you can help out a little bit, right? Put it on the company, bring them over. That would be interesting, but that's a really cool incentive. That's a really cool incentive.
Yeah,
I think
it is.
I think it's great. It's unique and it's fun, and again, it's engaging. Juan, let's talk about some hard stuff here, man. All these cleaning companies it's this hiring frenzy. We don't know what to do. What's the biggest cleaning gap or hiring gap in the cleaning industry? Like, where do you see companies really missing the mark?
I think when we touched at the beginning, the ideal employee profile is something that people are not paying attention to. Because why? We're typically in a desperation mode. When somebody walks in and says, I want to work, I have, my energy is good, I want to do it. And we believe that because we're desperate. So we bring in this person. And, we overlook things sometimes that shouldn't be overlooked. And they just bring on this person and suddenly 2-3 weeks later, they quit. And you ask why. It's like, why they quit so much? Is like, hey, you're not hiring the ideal employee profile for your company. And that is, one thing you take out of this call is to do that exactly. Just look through your systems, who's been here for the longest and who's quit very quickly. And you'll find a trend. You'll find a certain amount of people at a certain group age with certain demographics, psychographics tend to quit very quickly. And then there's a group of people that stay. So I think that is the main thing they're missing. And then on the flip side, the management side is when people feel like they're comfortable, like I don't need more hiring, I'm good, I don't need to hire new people, they stop hiring, and suddenly in a week they lose 2 or 3 people out of the blue. Could be because they got injured, they move out of town, they just want to change the jobs. But as soon as you feel like comfortable that you don't need any more people, that's when you get the hit. And I see it every day. It's like, oh, I was good, I was growing, I stopped hiring, and boom, I got hit with 2 or 3 people that left in a week. And I've heard of in a 14, 15 people company, 5-6 people that leave the company. It's like 40 to 50% of your workforce that goes out. And what do you do with all those jobs that now you're gonna fill or you gotta cancel? So do not let the comfort settle in your heart, in your mind, because at that point you're gonna get hit and with somebody quitting for no reason.
Totally. And so we had a guy who's really big on hiring on the show. Episode 36, we interviewed Josh Melton. You might have met him in Chicago.
Yeah, I did.
Really big on hiring, and he hires off of a value chart, which I would think is similar to your ideal employee profile, something of that sort. Someone listening, and the reason I bring him up is because he hires all part-timers, all part-time people, and like fills them in, and it really works well for his business. We know other cleaning companies that are always looking for more full-time, at least 30 plus hours a week. Yeah. If someone's listening to this and they're like, hey, I only hire part-timers or I only hire contractors, would PipeHire be a right fit for me? What's the setup of the people using it? Is it part-time? Is it full-time? Is it a mixture of both?
You can use it for any kind of worker, employee, or 1099, full-time, part-time, flex, whatever system or model that you have. Obviously, when the system is mostly designed for employees. Why? Or you're gonna get more value because the system tracks attendance, which technically for a contractor you cannot track their attendance. You cannot take care of them like an employee. So the product really is more designed towards the W-2 employee, because once you hire them and then you start to using all the management features, those features are really designed to retain employees. Technically, if they're contractors, you don't need to retain them, and you don't need to tell them what to do, how to do it, and when's their birthday. But I see people, I have a company in California using it that just hires, 1099 people, and they're only using mainly the hiring funnel and all the questions, the scoring to kind of find that ideal person. But obviously the management features are designed mainly for employees, but you can use it for both, but ideally W2 is the best, where you're going to get the most value of the product.
Well, I know we're coming into time, so I always have my final questions, but James, do you have any questions before we come into the end of the podcast here?
No, I think it's incredibly valuable. We typically don't just outright like plug like systems and softwares on this show, but I will say anyone listening at this point, like PipeHire was awesome when we saw it. Like Angel and I were like blown away. And we're like, why do we not have something like this? So if you are listening to this, we're going to link everything below, Juan, and definitely check out PipeHire. It's got my full endorsement. So that's all I have to say.
Do you guys have James. I hope you guys have a lead magnet that's like how to identify your ideal employee profile. If you don't, let me know when it's ready.
Actually, I do have something along those lines, because I was on your website here yesterday doing some research, and you guys have something that's similar. I don't know if it's a lead magnet, but my last question would be, talk about your lead scoring. You talk about applicant lead scoring, and you guys have an article on it. Talk about exactly what that is, and we can link the blog.
Yeah, sure. The applicant scoring is kind of the cornerstone of the screening process. So when you have typically people have like a Google form or a Jot form, right, to capture their applicants. And those forms are just simply capturing basic information. But a form with PipeHire basically will ask a specific industry questions. Like, for example, can you go up in a ladder of 30 feet? Can you be on 100 degrees weather working outside? Yes or no? Are you allergic to dogs and cats? Yes or no? All these specific questions that typically we don't ask. PipeHire gives those questions already embedded for you in each of those different applications. But then as the applicant answers them, they are being scored in the background. So when you see as the owner, you see the application in your funnel, you'll see all the questions with points, negative points, positive points. And at the end, that's how you see a total of points. And that scores the person as an A, B, or C applicant. So the A applicant will be anybody that's 80% above of the total questions correctly, and has included 2 work references. A B will be somebody between 50 to 79% of the questions correctly, and a C will be somebody that's disqualified or didn't complete the application completely. And there's a lot of those incompletes. Believe it or not, like a lot of people start filling out a form, name, email, boom, and then abandon the process, right? But PipeHire still captures those names and sends them emails and text messages helping them or trying to get them to finish the application. And so I call it like like shopping cart abandonment for your jobs applications, because we're sending constantly automatic messages to them, trying to convert them into applicants. But obviously a small percentage convert, and then they become applicants. So, a C player will be those type of people, not a good fit at all, or simply they didn't complete, they didn't hit submit on the application. So that's kind of the speech about the lead scoring.
I mean, I could tell PipeHire manages a lot of it, right? From hiring to retention to employee satisfaction, having enough data, right? Like what data do you actually have on your employees? Like that's an insight into your employees. I think that's really cool. Let me ask you, is just a lazy person. They look at the podcast, they research you, and they're like, it sounds like a pretty cool product. I don't know if I want to listen to the whole thing, so I'm just gonna go and skip to the final minute, see if he has a golden nugget, and if he does, then I'll listen to the whole podcast. So if you had one advice, one joke, one story, one thing that you want people to remember you by in this podcast, what would that one thing be?
I think we'll say that if you're really looking to grow any home service business and you're lacking an organized system, a process, and you want to get it all out of your head and make it organized for your company and really have results and consistent results in hiring and growing your service business, then you should check PipeHire for that process. We're really the only applicant tracking system designed for our industries by experts in the industry. It's not just it's not a white label product we grabbed from somebody and made it into this. No, this has been made in-house by scratching our own itch for the last 18 years.
And just to make sure, commercial cleaning companies can also use it, or is it only home-based?
Commercial companies, yeah. And really any home service business that needs to hire workers, it's this design for it. So typically home cleaning, janitorial, landscaping, HVAC, pressure washing, window cleaning, all of those industries that need staff to grow their sales and grow their team, that are really money-making employees, because you could use it to hire people in the office, clearly, but those that are looking for people they need to send somebody into somebody's home or business to charge for a job, this is the ideal product and solution for them.
I love that. Boom. Well, there you go. There you guys have it. Well, Juan, once again, man, thanks for joining us. And James, thanks for running the podcast episode.
Absolutely, guys. All right. Talk to you later.
Guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.
You got it. Bye, Juan.
Bye-bye.